Greetings, technology enthusiasts. I am Chandrahas and I am delighted to be here with you representing CyberBrainer. Do you not believe that the technology sector is advancing at an unprecedented rate, making this an opportune moment to acquire the skills that will facilitate your progress? With CyberBrainer, we are empowering you to take control of your own future. At CyberBrainer, we do not merely impart your interests. We assert that information is power, yet it is the application of knowledge that distinguishes you. Our courses are meant to equip you with essential skills, whether you are pursuing data science, understanding artificial intelligence, or delving into cybersecurity. Let us commence the session and seize the future today. Thank you.
In the previous session, we discussed on how we can create a base data sets. What are the ways of creating a base data set and how we can create it into the Workday. Apart from it, we also saw different stages into the base data set. Now we will go and create the data sets and discuss stages into it. Let me go to a tenant. As we discussed that earlier, that base datasets are used for importing the data, and the three options for it when you go. To create, there are three options available for it, and by that be able to create a base data set. But for the table and the series means derived data set, there's a basically derived. Data sets is used for transforming the data and means blending the data for that. No options is available. You can see that only one option is there means there's no variety into it. When I click on a data set, I will click on data set. You can see the difference that when I click data set, it is not asking for me to upload any file or about to select a report. It is asking me to select a table or a data set. This is a difference between the data. Sets and base data set. Base data set is used for importing and it generally uses SFTP file by SFTP or file upload or a custom report. On the other hand, their data set use existing table or existing data set. This existing data set can be a base data set or it can be a rate data set. Any of them. As we can see here, we get an option to filter by tags. Let's say here. The 675 results and it is very hard to navigate and the system to the exact dataset which I have created earlier. In order to do that, I can select or filter text and filter it out on my whatever my need it is. Otherwise, I can also scroll down. Automatically, it is sorted by last modified ascending orders. Sorry, descending orders. The latest one which I edited will automatically come on the top. If in case it's an old one, I can scroll down or I can filter by text or I can search for here. Let's say here we will use the BDS worker data report which we created earlier. I will click on it and we will select. Once I select it, it will process it and will ask me for the details for the name. Here also the concept is same. The API name will be unique and I won't be able to change it. If I change it now, let's say I fit it to DS, it will change away. But let's say if I want to change it later on, I won't be able to do it. That's the difference between. That's the same between VDS and DDS. Here let's say change the name as DDS worker data. Data 23 report. It automatically came over here. I can tag it. I am not sure what tag I give. But it's fine if I don't also give a tag. It's not a compulsory thing to tag. Tag it later on. Here also description is there. We can add a description over here and mention what are the description over here, but it's not compulsory field. Description is important in naming the. We are importing this data and what does this data set for us and all. It can be also done later as once we give save, what it will do is it will fetch the data from the BDS which we selected. Let's say if we give any DDS or BDS over there or a table, when we select it, it gets the data from it. This is a view stage of that. Let me open this as a new tab if possible. It's not opening. See here, if I click on this one, I see imports. I'm able to see that this is importing data from BDS worker data support 1. Created. From here also we will be able to know when we click on view. And we'll be able to see just base data set when we create a base data set. Over there also we will be able to see this, that what are the fields available on a summarized way, that there are the 3 distinct genders. There are age, there are 2 genders and 15. Null, and all the things be able to see over here. And if I go to detail view, I'll be able to see the detailed view of it. Here is the detailed view of it. Now coming to this OPA loaded and PAL load tested. This I told you. I will explain later. When we import any data, let's say we import any data. At that time it will create a load ID. You remember when we are creating a base data set, it is to asker or a table. When we will create a table, it will ask again whether we want to truncate and insert. Correct? The meaning between truncate and insert. I explained you previously, but when we give insert, that means that the existing data won't get removed, but it will get on appending or it will get on adding it to the existing data. Let's say if I give insert, there are already 10 rows are available for a data. Then if I give insert and under 20 comes, then total row will become 30. Let's say another 20 came to become 50. There will be existing rows or data as it is and get a petnick. Now let's say if I want to identify that which row came when, I won't be able to track it, because all the data will be blended together. Let's say I give a sort. Let's say I give a sort based upon total base pay from low to high. In that order, there are chances that all the data might get blended together. I won't know that which load came first and which load came last. For that, Workday automatically creates a WPA load ID, which wasn't there in our source. You saw that in report also, we haven't added WPA ID or WPA load step ID. The main purpose of this rows to be added is when we load the data, what Workday does is, it assigns a unique load ID, which is an alphanumeric ID. You can see it is same for all of them. It is same. It basically contains the data. It contains the data of that regarding the load. When was the load uploaded and all? It's basically in a coded format. Let me show or here if you want to see a full one. This is a load ID, a full load ID. It's alphanumeric field. It will be throughout the same for whole load. Let's say another load came it will change. Also it will have a load stamp ID. When I loads anything, it will show the date of it, date and time. Let's say I loaded this file. I loaded the report in the base data set on 2510. Let me open the base data set for your reference. You are here, the base data is there. In report which we created, there was no this field. Here we are getting the date 2510. This 2510 is nothing but just a date and time on which the load was inserted into the system. Here the date is 3 am, and that we haven't walked in those timings, we might have started our session. At 3:30 that if we talk about Keta as Central Time Zone, Central European Time Zone. But here the timestamp generally considers based upon the tenant setup. Let's say the tenant is set up according to the US timing and is using the US timing as the reference, then we will be able to see the timing is based upon the tenant. Let's say the tenant is set up on us. Let's say that the ID is WD5. When we click on the URL, here it is not showing, but when you see your company's URL, the organization URL, you are able to see WD5, UD3. This denotes where the server of your systems are designated. Apart from the server, you will be able to also know what is the default time zone for a tenant. Based upon that, it will pull. Let's say if I also load it now, currently it is showing me 7:45 am for me. And I load it now, it won't come over here at 7:45. It will show some other time for me. And you're not able to change it because that's our setting for a tenant. Correct, exactly. I won't be able to change unless someone changes the tenant setup. This won't change. It will remain as it is, and for the calculation also, I can use it further. Calculation basically based upon the load ID and times time and to identify what the load was. But I won't be able to change this existing fields. Any questions? We change it for a tenant. Is it security only or? Sorry, I didn't got you. Yes, if somebody wants to change the time zone for a tenant, does it have to be security? What kind of access is it? Yes, for that the adding. There's a task with the name of edit tenant, I guess. Let me check. Basically, that is not available for edit tenant setup. See, here all the things are coming. Edit tenant setup help and all. There are multiple edit tenant setup options. Among them, you have to select any one of them. And once you do that, you will be able to do it. Currently, it is showing for me, but let's say when I will click it won't show. Why? Because I don't have enough security to perform it. Because if I do edit and setup, it will reflect for all the people. That's the why there is very limited security to it. Edit and doesn't only edit. My only tenant means my not only for your personal account. It will change for everyone. It will edit the whole tenant, not a particular account. That's the reason. There are chances that you may not know that the implementer who has implemented the system in your implemented Workday or who is looking after the Workday, who is a Workday administrator, will only have the success to do this. Don't frequently change it, otherwise it will impact the daily workings because you know also when you load the integration in EIB and when you do a manual load, it's fine. But when there is a recurrent load, there's a tab to enter the time. That time might change. Means byte can really by default. It will take the system's time, but if you keep on changing, then that also keep on changing here to manually then change it every time when you do a recurrent integration. Yes, any doubt and understand basically does upload ID and load stamp ID. These are only used for the beginning tabs. And later on, people generally hide this column. It is used to only in base dataset or max to max derived dataset. Just for the testing purpose that we have got a new load and with the date of this. And just to identify that how many rows are there for this particular one. Let's say here if I go to your fields and over here, if I go to here and here I can see that total load ID is 1. I can know that can I interpret it in a way that load ID is 1, that means only one load is present. If I load second time, I will get another load ID. I will be able to understand that no matter the number, rows are 10, 20, no matter what. But I will be able to know that this dataset consists of 2 or 3 loads. If it is 2 or here, if it's 2, that means that total 2 loads has been present in the system. Got. Here this is the representation of just a quick overview regarding this load stamp, Workday, load ID and load stamp. Now, as we saw that we are able to see the imports BDS over here. But the other way to look for is when you have multiple imports. When I click on this, a little action and I go to view lineage. When I click it, whole lineage will open up lineage as in the thing, the data flow chart here, here it on a graphical way. I will be able to understand the data is flowing from where to where. In Prism, the data flows always from left to here. Left to means here the data is going from this to this, only it won't be a reverse one. That is the case. Here, as discussed, the icon which has a blue in it, they are generally the base data. Sets and the icon which has the orangish color into it, they are derived data sets. And all the data is going from this to this, the icon also. You can see that base data set also has different icon. It has this 2 boxes with a dot and here the data. Set has 2 boxes with an arrow going forward. These are the identification of the base dataset and dataset. In case you don't name it according to the nomenclature, which is BDs and DDs generally, which people do, but if in case you don't do, this is the way you can. Identified in the lineage. Derived dataset, as you can see, base dataset doesn't have any line because we are either uploading a file or we are getting the data from a custom report. But it will have only one. Insert of the data means one data. The insert into it, whereas in the data set, let's say here only one connection is there. Let's say I do a union or a join from other base data set or a data set to have a second. Pipeline as my main objective is that data set can have multiple data imports. It means multiple data sources for the data, whereas the base data set won't have multiple. Let me get back to the base data set here. We are into DDS in quick action. We can go and edit transformation, or else we can go from here as edit transformation. When we go to the edit transformation over here, remember we discussed that in BDS based dataset the parse stage was there. But here we are able to see the import stage. That is one of the difference between the base dataset and derived dataset. In derived dataset, the import stage is there. It can't be created. Means it cannot be added another one or cannot be deleted the existing one. I can add it, I can change it. Let's say while creating a base dataset, what I did is chose this beads worker data twin report. But going ahead, I feel that I made a mistake. I need to create another one. For that, I won't delete the existing data set. What I can do is I can go to this pencil icon and I can also change the data import. Here, let's say I want to import the data from this table. I can click on this and I can click next. By that, let me do it here. Let's say I click on select. When I do select, you can see that here the data import has changed. Here I am getting the updated data. Here you can see that the previous import which we had from BDS worker data 23 report was a polished data. It had all the data with the worker who were from Poland. But here we can see that this is a test file which you uploaded, upload file, and here the pipeline changed. When I update this, click. See, the lineage is having PD's worker report and I click on refresh. It will refresh with the latest one. I haven't saved it. Let me save it. Once I save it, the changes will reflect. I have saved now and the report will save to the updated one. See, it has changed to the upload. Likewise, this lineage will change day based upon the data which you import. Let's say here I go to change pipeline. In change pipeline also, I can add the pipelines as it will automatically added the once I join and all. You don't need to configure over here manually, but it will automatically happen. Let's change back to the previous one, which was this one, because it has more data to play around with, and let's just save and let's say this is reflected over here. This upload should change to the report. Yes, it changed to the report. Now we go to edit. You can see this is very similar. This import stage, past stage has been replaced with the import stage. That's it. There is no much difference. Now the major difference comes. The add calculator also is same. The major difference comes in the add stage. When I click on add stage, you are able to see this. More options are coming over here. Explode, filter, group by, join, manage, field union, unpivot, validation, value mapping. Here, if I open the derived base dataset, if I go to base dataset and click on edit transformation, see, it's very strange that we are getting this edit transformation over here. Yesterday we were not getting this option. I don't know why. But now it's working. I need to test it through. Actually, Prism is from past 1, 2 to 3 months. Prism is very unstable in the test environment. It's not only with the demo tenant which we are invoking it, but in my organization's tenant also the Prism is giving a bit bugs regarding it. Let's say here, let's say I open this data set and I will to see that detailed data over here, but it is showing us all blank. Though the data is there in the report, which I'm importing the data but issuing blank. Saucer is coming. For that I need to publish the data and then I need to open the discovery board and then open the data into it and I am able to see the data over there. For some it is I'm facing the issue. In case if you are sure that you have the data and you are not able to see the data, I would advise that before coming to conclusion, you can first publish it and then see in a discovery board and then come to a conclusion at what is the issue. Just a pro tip, nothing much. Yes, here we open a base data set and I click on at stage. We are able to see the limited option filter, group by and manage field in the base data set, but on the other hand in the red data set we are getting a long list of it. Here the value mapping and validation. These are the new ones and validation. I think it was there previously. I'm not able to recall it, but this is not much used. The most used are filter, group by, join, manage, field union. These are the most used ones. Apart from it, explode is used and unpivot is used. Explode is converting a multi-instance field to a single distance field. That is the purpose of it. And pivot is getting data from column to rows and row to column in that way. That is the purpose. Validation and value mapping. Validation is if you want to apply validation to a particular thing, and value mapping is mapping the data to a particular thing. These are the new updates that still need to be checked. But this it has come to the Notice that value mapping is not available for the HCM because it's only available for the finance. Yes, cover the most used ones, which will be using the day-to-day ones, and have a walkthrough if you want for the individual ones. If you want, yes. Here, as you can see, filter is there. Filter is as same as which we discussed in the base data set. There's no much difference. Manage field is also same as we discussed, and group by is also same filter. Group by and manage field is same. Join, we will see how we'll map the data. Let me check. I need to modify the filter condition over here. Here, as you can see, we are able to get the data from we have data from this report. And now we are trying to do a union of the base data set, which is from a file which you uploaded this one. For the union stage, what union does is that it will merge the, let me show, and once. Select pipeline. I need to select from which I want to join it. You do a union of it. Here in union, it will ask me that what fields do you want to. What union does is union basically combines the data. If I show you in the presentation, be able to understand that when I do the union. This is a basic formula, mathematical formula for union. In order to understand, let's say, there's a variable which consists of data 1, 2, 3, and there's another thing which is B, and it consists of data 3, 4, 5. When I do a union, what it will do is it will merge the thing which is in common. Also 3 is there and B also 3 is there. What it will do is it will merge the field which is 3, which is common in both of them, and add the additional ones. Here it will take 1, 2 from a AND. 3 is common, it will take only one time. 3 and 4, 5 from B variable. When we combine it, I will get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 won't get repeated. The 3 will be merged. That is how the union works. If we see the definition also, union connects two data set by appending rows. From one data set to rows from another, lining up corresponding column if applicable. Let's say if there are very similar thing but not exactly the same, it won't merge it. Let's say 3 is there here and here, 3.5 is there, then it will keep 1, 2, 3, 3.5, 4, 5. That if it's exact match, then it will merge it with existing data. Here you can see when we do the union, while you're doing a union, what it will ask is, how do you want to do a union of it? It will ask for the match. Here we are doing union from now that style upload in that file automatically matched the files. It found that employee first name and last name are very similar to the primary pipeline which we have. And that is why it is giving me this results. Let's say if I want to include all, the columns from this and all the includes from 7 columns. Here it is only match. It is only matching 3 columns from primary pipeline, which is the report, and say 3 fields from the upload file out of 7. I can either do this or I can include it. By doing this, I can also remove it as for the one I want. By doing this, what it will do is, it will get all the things for me and it will map it here, it will map that. Look for the values. Let's say employed. It will try to map if possible. If not, then it will create another row for first name. Also, it will try to map it. If not, it will create another row that. Let's remove this. Timestamp here, which is not required for now, plan here. Location also. Location is user is there. And for us, the location is United States of America. Our whole name is there and we have only US over here. In country also it's the same. That's why it hasn't matched. But if in case it's not matching, I can always go manually and match it. It's not that it should match automatically. Sometimes Workday is not able to match a map both things properly. Let's say if I give a done over here, it will do a union of it. Let me. You hear if I go in this detailed data previously, there was the higher data was here from the report, which was in the date format. And here higher data is coming from text field. From our data, countries also. This is from the report data set, base data set, and this is from the base data set. File upload, this is one. From here we will be able to know that the data has been run a union. Now to filter it out. Let's give a filter and give here. First name is Steve, legal name first is equal to C. Here you can see there are 2 rows with the name of Steve. Previously it wasn't there with the 2 names. Because this was the 202 is from report and this is from a file upload. What it did is it mapped the things that employee ID will go under this particular column. Employee legal name will go as a first name Steve. It mapped it accordingly. But for others you saw that the mapping wasn't available. It has created a null. For the top the data is available. For bottom is not available, but for the bottom the data is available here. Location that. Got. Basically it has most 2 data together, data union of it. If it would be the same, let's say the employee ID would be 2002, it would have definitely merged with this one. But because it's not available, it hasn't done it. This is how the union works. Let me clear this out. Any questions? Questions regarding the union or understanding how does it work and what it is? Maybe 2 questions. One was that I would. What you saw previously. There was 2 Steve Morgans, but each of them has a different ID. And you said that if they would have a same ID, they would be merged. Correct? Union can do that too. Because it's depending on what you want it from. But in this situation we just did. That was a redundant data. What I mean? You have same record twice. Later on, of course, I can just go and edit that data. I can decide, oh, this is a duplicate. I don't want this duplicate, because what was actually interesting, that if you look at the record, it wasn't just it were different. I think one of the records for us, Steve had more information, or maybe I'm wrong, but it seems one was more accurate. To me, actually here, if I go and filter it on the Steve, the employee wasn't matching. Here the employee was 202, Steve and Morgan were matching, but here this wasn't matching. That was the thing. That's why it wasn't merging together and it created two separate records. Basically, unions are used to combine two things. This is just a bigger picture I made you explain. When I want to do a union of two data, let's say I have one data coming for January. Let's say I have a base data set over here. Let's say I have a base data set with the name of worker data January, PDS worker data February, BDS worker data March, and I want to merge it together. I know that I don't want to join them. I don't want to merge the data. I don't want to join the data. I want to append it together. In that case, I will use the union function. Got it will be the, are you able to see the screen for the Excel file? Yes, I can see Excel. It's from the last session. It's from the last session. I'll keep this for explanation that we can backtrack if possible. Let's say there's a data available for employee. Let's say 101 is there and app's name is there, and here 102 is there. And here the name is, let's say, is, and here 103. GET I is there, and here let's say the phone number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and here the 8 is blank. Now this whole data, no, I think data will be able to. This is, let's say, a one bunch of data, and when I try to replicate over here, this is also there. Now here this is 4, 5, 6, but here it is 7, 8, 9 over here, and this is 4, 5, 6. And now the same pose here. Length, and this is 7, 8, 9. The difference between this is that the employee and this is same for each of them, and for this field it is changing. But this is a load from January. When I extracted a load from January, in January the data was this, then someone changed their phone numbers. Assume this is a phone number. The phone number for Abby's was 1, 2, 3 and Def for 4, 5, 6. But in the February's load, when they send the February load, here the February load. The day the worker changed the phone number for 4, 5, 6 to 7, 8, 9. There was a change now in March also. He removed the phone number at a completely now. This is different load, and what I need to do is I want to keep a track of it. I want to do a historic. I want to keep a historic data. I don't want to merge the data. What is even I don't want to join the data that ABC. Contact was 1, 2, 3, or here means DF is 45, 6, and now it is 7, 8, 9. I don't know. I want to merge the data. In order to do it, what I will do is I will do a union I'll create. These are the basically data bits. These are the Bs available means basically we're importing the data. Now let's say I want to keep the data from all of them. What I will do is I will do a union. When I will do a union of it, I will get a data in this format. Control V. I know there's a repetition. 101. Is there ABC here? It is repeating, here is repeating. This might get much because 101 is same year. Here as, and here as. This might get mods, but the remaining one will have multiple records. Here what I did is basically I just wanted to stitch the data together. We are not joining the data, we are not merging the data as such. We are just stitching these files together. That is the purpose of union. We will use the union when we are to stitch the data together when we have multiple files. The best example for union is that, as I mentioned, that there are some certain limitations regarding the file size, that the file shouldn't be more than this particular file size. In that case, what do is we will, let's say it is, if it is extending the file number of storage, what do is break the files into. Let's say, for example, limitation is 500 MB and our file is going more than 500 MB. Let's say it is going 600 MB. What we will do is we'll break the files into 300 MB each, 300 MB, 300 MB each. Now what do is create two data set, one data set for 300 MB and another for 300 MB. 300 MB and you also 300 MB, and then we will stage this together into the Prism together. 600 megabytes together. Yes, correct. Here we are ending up with 600 megabytes here. There is only limitations for uploading the data. There is no limitation as such that you can only contact this much of data. That's the reason while uploading it. This is just an example which I give as actual. Figures will be what we can know from here. That file can cancel a 500 MB here if it goes 600 MB. We can divide it, and SFTP also. Let's say it is 1 GB compressed, and then compressed can be 10. Let's say if it is going more than 1 GB, we can do this. Generally, we do this to combine the data together. This is how the union works. We are not intending to monster data, but we are generally stitching two files together in union. I think you're clear regarding the understanding of union. Yes, I do. It's very basic actually, because I'm pretty sure there are more advanced ways of connecting data with getting rid of the redundancy and other things, but let's get to them later. Actually, that's the reason I'm reiterating again and again that RISE is actually very easy. There are still no hardware. See, these are the exhaustive list. This is the list of stages: import, union, join, group by. These are the very basic stages which which we would take this in the Prism. Prism is not that hard. Prism is basically it basically tests your skills. When we want to create the lineage, means when we want to create how the data will flow. Let's say in the recent times, the requirement was we wanted to archive the data. Let's say we have to archive the data for all the users. What the scenario was that we were getting 3 months data. Let's say when we got from January to March data, January, February, March. At a time we will get the 3 files January, February, March in the April beginning. Process the data. But now going ahead, what will happen is I will get only February, March and April data. January will be removed, but I want the January data. I can't lose it, and I can create base data set for each month. There will be too many data set. I had to create a lineage into the Workday that I can retain that general data before it gets refreshes. That time I need to understand that how I can store the data in tables, or how I can do the transformation into it, that I can get the general data in those terms. Basically the functional side, your Prism knowledge will be tested. Otherwise, the technical is actually very easy. Join union. It is nothing, just the person who has some technical background, he will be able to do it easily. That is the case, and that you will be able to the functional knowledge which I mentioned. That you will gain by practicing. Only the more you will practice, the more you will understand. We are able to do things by this view also, by this way also. There are multiple ways of doing this. There's always a room for optimization here. As we discussed that union, we did a union, and union was possible in the base data set. It was completely easy to understand. I'll remove the stage and I will save now, or else it will refresh to understand the join. Join are of 4 types. The main purpose of join is it as a words list. It joins the data set. Connects to data set by merging the matching rows and appending the columns. It will merge the matching rows and will append the column. Let's say let me go to Excel. And here let's say MempID is there, employee id is there, first name is there, and here country is there. This is one set of data. Then there is another set of data where MPID is there, and here last name is there, and here phone number is there. Now here you can see that what are the common fields between these both of them. Let me write some dummy data as 1-1 Steve Campry, and here MPID is 101. Last name is Morgan, and here phone numbers 9866543321. Here you can see that there are two data sets. It can be either basic asset, it can be a data set, as we can join any of them together. Here we can see that only. The amp ed is common between both of them, and I will just highlight it with the green. That is the common one. But here we can see that this one is not common. This and this one, it is not common. What I can do is, but I want to join the data. The main purpose is that I'm getting a file. I have a file with let's say, file 1 and a file 2. And a file 1 contains the first name data and country data, and file 2 contains the last time and phone number. But what I want to do is I want to join them together, and I want in one line this two data together. In that case, I will use a join in this case. What I will do is I will create a join using a key. What is key join? Key is a thing which is common both of them. Here I can see the join key employee is same for both them. It is not always the value which is the same, but always the data type which is the same. The first name is there, MempID is there, the employee, it should be same in that way. Got it? The column should be same. If this is, let's say, I will also add one another thing. To explain you not here, but here. Low. And I will mention you were same. Here you can see the employee it column is same in both of them. I am not comparing the value now, but I am data type is employee for both of them. Now, when I do a join, I will enter the key here. The key I can identify is employee only. The minimum key is required, 1 to join a particular data set or table data set together. But it is preferred to use as much as key possible to join. Why? The more the number of keys means more in sense. 2, 3 keys, 4 keys are fine. Not more than that we are joining two main fields together. But at least it is suggested that you at least use 2, 3 keys together. If it is there, 1 also. It is fine, but the more the number of keys, the more the data quality is good. It maps the data accordingly. Let's say, here we use the key join key we use as employee ID. Now, when I join it, I will get the data in this format. And here, if I zoom out here, I will get the data this 1x0 here. And for this one, I'll get the data this. Here you can see that what it did is it matched the key. Here what we did is we compared the employee. It saw that employee on1 is here also and it is here also. It matched. The match was positive. Once the match was positive, it came 1 over here. And what it did, it pulled the Steve first name. Also, the last name wasn't there. Here it created. It appended the column last name over here and country. And phone number. If we see the definition, connect to dataset by merging the matching rows and appending the columns. What did? Matching rows to it will bring the matching rows. And it append the column. Let's say the column last name wasn't there over here. It will append the column here. It will create another column and phone number. But for the Logan Lennon 2 is over here. But here the 1-zip row is not there. What it will do is it will come. But here the null will come, null and null. Why? Because there was no matching data form. This is the difference between union and join. Sometimes people get confused between union, join, but it is natural to confuse, but comparatively it is very easy to understand union. We are the stitching the data and join. We are joining the data together. Let's Steve. Is there we are. Joining the data Steve together. Another thing is, let's say country. Let's assume that country is still over here. Country still over here. That means there are two country. Common field. In that case, it will come as country 2. Control C, I will just remove the user. Country 2. Why country 2? Because as I said, two fields cannot be with the same name. The country and country both is same. What it will do is it will pull the one because it is matching. It will pull one country from this and will pull one country from this. This is that. In order to avoid the duplicate, what Workday will do is it will name country. This will be country as it is and this will be named as country 2. The data is same. Avoid the duplicacy. It changes the name of it, but when we do the development and we know that this column has been matched and the data is duplicate, what do is we will unselect it. What do is unselect to not to pull the countries from this. Why? Because we already have the country, we can do it and select it. Let's see on practical scenario over here and go to add stage here. Let me see. What key can be used? I had it is there. Let me see if I have another lineage to explain you this particular topic. Yes, here we have done a join. If we see that BDS DV worker data, that's the first name, last name, location, country and phone number. And if we open this BDS, this is worker data DV and this is RB data. Let me see if it is correct or not. Someone might have modified its location. Is there? I guess someone has done some modifications. This won't be a great example. Thank you. What I will do is I will write to just a second. If I get it immediately, we will do. It. Otherwise, I will try to create some scenarios that I can explain you this particular. Think P is worker enriched. I guess this is the case. Thank you. Here you can see that in the join here we have one primary pipeline, which is BDS DB worker data. It has only worker data available. And we need to merge it with the org data. Here, if I click on this org data, I am getting all the detailed data support company, whatever it is. And here I have this data available Logan McNeil. But I don't think this is a detailed data available. What I can do is I can merge it together based upon the employee ID. But employee ID is also not here. I think I have to create a scenario. Basically, I need to break this into two things. I will get this thing covered in the next topic. Also, we have reached almost the end of the time. No worry. I will try to. One main key to do the merger. One main key to the merger. Yes, correct. Minimally, it's only one main key that you need to do to join the table. Just say they are C. When I give a join here, it will ask me to join. That primary pipeline and this one, it is asking for one, but I can also add one. Definitely I need to get only one. See here, if I go to delete, I'm not able to delete it, but if I want to get, I cannot. Once I add it, I can delete this one, but I can't delete this one. There's any of them, I can delete it, but once I have only one. I am not able to delete it. Here I need to select that first name is over. Here I need to select some field. This is matching to it. Let's say here, let's say a field is. The first time I can click it, and let's say I'm confused, I don't know what to use, there is a suggestion. I can click on suggestions and Workday. What it will do is it will automatically try to suggest us if there are field matching. It is not 100% reliable still. Let's say if it match for you, you still need to check that how much it is correct and how much it is incorrect, but it will at greater extent, it will help you as much as possible to understand the data. It will first of all read all both the datas in the file, then it will try to suggest you the join keys. As I mentioned, there are no join keys available, and Workday also is saying that no match keys are available. Otherwise, if there was a match key, it would have definitely shows us that is the case, but we will get this thing covered in the next one. Basically, I need to here the Steve is there. Stephen Morgan is there. I can here do a first name and here also first name I can do. But if I scroll to the org data, is combined, it is not separate. That's why I won't be able to do a join over here if it was Joy Bang. If the Steve and Morgan would be in a separate column, then I would have been definitely will be able to do it. In this case, you probably would. That would be excellent. It's really easy to create an extra column with just first 5 letters U. Now yes, exactly. Here what we can do is, I will create a column field. Let's say here I've done a union. What again I can do a add field, not here, but in the previous one. What I can do is I can use the function substring. If I go to substring, I can go substring. What is the syntax? That substring, the string, that is the I'm. If my string is, let's say the worker name, start and end. Here's something, name is there, the starting letter is 0 and substring up to the 1. The position of it. Let's say if I want to first file it 0 to 4 or 0 to 5. Here it starts from 0 and not 1, that you can take it into a background. By that be able to substring it. What I will do is the Steve Morgan is there. What I will do is I will create a substring, or I will divide it into the 2 segments. And then I will try to work accordingly. Yes, let's do the join here because we have some similar fields over here. Steve and Morgan, we have location, country phone number, and we have country. I think it's similar, there's no meaning. Yes, it looks the second one is just longer. It has the same data, the first 3 rows, but then it says a few more. Actually, it has Logan McNeil from the California. It's almost duplicate, but it's not. Let me check for BDS. I created yesterday one org data. BDSDV org day created was someone had a, as I think deleted it and replaced by this one. I guess I'm not sure. Let me see if they have done some modification to TDS. I guess I can still able to join it. Let me search for the pipeline. Here is the BDSDV org. Let's select this one. I think we will be able to do it for this one. Someone has just changed the name, but it's still ours. Not an issue for us. First of all, I will show you the data for this. Both are fun bits. DV worker data and BR. I will give you transformation here. We will see the transformation. And here we are seeing the transformation. Meanwhile, this opens up. I will brief you about order data. In this data set of the BDSRB OR data, in OR data, the employee and worker will be there, but the remaining data will be related to the organization. Supervisory organization, then company. Then here it is. I think company ID is their cost center. Is there all this company organization related data? Is there? Because company also. Fall under a type of an organization. This data set basically as it denotes, it's condensed org data, and here the TV or a worker data consists of all the fields containing the we'll change the pipeline later. This contains all the work related information. Here I have employee, worker, and all hired a legal name and all the work related details. Other now what I will do is I want to enrich. This means I want to connect this. First of all, let me import this thing. I'll be worker data. We will need a base for to do the working. We will first of all do that one thing. Your team is TV worker data and that the select this one. Here we'll delete the stage and we will use the join stage over here. In join stage also we will mention that BDS, the RTV or data, and we are here as you can see the both, the or both. The data set has one. Thing in common, employee and worker, and more precisely it is advised that to do something which is reliable. Reliable why? Because the worker name might have error. If there's a space or let's say someone has added a middle limb to it might be different unless we have breakdown of it into the different segments. That's just legal first name and last name. Employees will be. There are less sense of error in employee. Here I can see that the two keys are matching. One is counting market data, another is orbiter. I've seen that employee is common between them and I will do a join between them. How will we do it? Also, I have supervisory. Organization is here and I guess I also have supervisory. Let me check. Oh no, I don't have. Supervisor organization. I will do paste joint upon employee. I will click employee over here and I will click employee over here. I can also go for suggestion as a let me remove this one and go for suggestion. In suggestion, it will show me all the matching field. See, it has shown that worker is a matching field, which we can use for mapping. Is 97 much? Employees also match. Manager is not matching much. Based upon that, we know that we can use employee and worker. We can use it. But as I told you, it is less reliable. We will use with the employer doing now comes the joint type, joint. Types are basically different types of joint, inner joints, left, outer join and full outer chain. What is? It depends on where you want to put the data in the spreadsheet. Oh, not in a spreadsheet, but in their data set. Exactly. Do you want to do a left out of the journal out of the chain or which one? Correct. Here, if I explain in a simpler terms. Let me go to the presentation. The presentation is visible. Yes, it is now. Here, this is an example of join here. Let me make it bigger. Join when is there. When I do an inner join in a zone, what it will do is it will only pick the matching rows and it will from both of them and ignore the one which are not matching to each other. It will only take the common matching rows. It will work as inner join when I go to the full join here. Here the full join is there. In full join, it will take all the rows and all the columns of both the data set completely as a whole. It is kind of similar to union. We can say similar to union, not union. Then comes a left join. Left join is, let's say we have one primary pipeline in which we are joining a secondary data set in that. Comes, it will consider in that comes. When I apply left join it, that in that case, all the fields of the primary pipeline will come and the matching rows of the secondary pipeline will be taken. And in the outer join, all the data of the secondary pipeline will be taken and the matching rows of the primary pipeline will be taken into consideration. Got. I will understand practically in the determinant. Here there's a difference between the count in DV worker data, the count is 783 rows and here the count is 794. All data has a more number of data. When we do a left outer join, let me do a left outer join over here and I will select all the details because from the left row, here the join is saying primary pipeline. Primary pipeline is what a D worker data that's. A primary pipeline because we created data set, we imported this pipeline, it becomes a primary pipeline and we arrange a join on the secondary one, it becomes a secondary pipeline. When it comes over here, it will again. See what I told you, employee will, when I do a join, employee will, commas 2. With reference to this one, the Excel country 2 is coming. Why? Because the key is matching here. A country is also there, it won't repeat it. But country 2 will come. Likewise, in our case, employee is 2 times. Here is also employee, and here also employee, there's no need. I can also unselect it. There's no need. We just used it when we match keys. It will select both of them, but we can unselect it. If we don't want, we will select all, but we will unselect employee and worker and resting. I think there is no duplicate in. It will not take this upper load from here as remove the upper load and I will give preview. Preview is a snapshot. It's you see what's going to happen, but it's not really happening. Really. Correct. The preview is we are not saving the changes, but we are just previewing the changes. It's a demo. You can say maybe a sandbox, but probably not. Not particularly sandbox, we can say, but preview is just a demo of our working that. Can you show me how it would look? It's such a sample that this changes how it will look, but when I give done, it will reflect those changes over here. It will do the join. See, you can see that here the changes has been done. Previously, the employee is the worker. All details are there, and if I scroll on all the remaining things has been appended here. You can see if we open, let me sort ascending. Here Logan. McNeely is there and Logan Diddle had any manager details available in this one. In this way you go to work. Here this is the primary pipeline worker data. Logan don't have any column with the name of manager. Only the other details are there. But here what it does is here when I apply a join, what it does is it matches the employee with the other one and it matched the column. That's why it got up at establish a connection with the another pipeline, another data set and got us at other manager. And supervise your organization. Any confusion? Supervisor organization. That's mean that this team member Logan McNew do not have a supervisor. Organization. Supervise your organization. She doesn't have in this particular data set. Makes sense? If I show you again, see in this data set we have around 15 fields. Out of it, 2 fields are it is upload ID and stamp by timestamp ed. In that, if we see here, this will be much easier to understand. Yes, here employed is the legal first name. All the worker related, employee related data is there. No support is there. No company is there. Nothing is there. And this BDS org data is there. Let me open the org data is there. If I go to the view of it, Here you can see only there is no any hire date or total waste pay. For full legal data, no field, are there only org related data, super org ID, company ID, cost center IDs are there. What I want to do is I want to map this data together. I have one data set for the worker details. And I have one data for the org data or organization related details. What I want to do is I want to merge this data together. That way I did a join, and here when I did a join and I see the fields here, you can see it has merged both the fields together. 15 14 fields from here. From org data, 11 fields are showing that 2 fields is removed, 9 fields. From org data, and here 15 does said we remove 2 fields from MUPAD, 15 or 13 plus 9. We will get the count. Sorry, 12 plus 9, we will get this one at 20 fields. Basically, the first data set did not have a supervisory or a call. When you merge it, everybody who were in there and didn't have a support, they're going to get new, because this wasn't available for the first data set. But for a joint one, everybody's there, including the people who never have value in the supervisor organization, because they never have this column. It is similar to the example which I showed you, the simple version. If I showed you yesterday that this is one data set which consists of employee ID, first name and country, and there's another data set which consists of employee ID, last name, phone and country. Here you can see the two fields are common, employee ID and the country, and first name and last name. Here first name is there and here last name is there. If I join them using the employee ID, what it will do is it will match the employee ID together and bring the similar things together. Here you can see it has here mods this particular thing. Here employee ID matched this employee ID and it gave first name over here, country over here and last name here. And phone number and comparison. Exact. Similar way here in our example. That's how the supervisory org was added. The column was just added. Correct. Column wasn't there. That additional column was added as a last name and phone number, because considered this as worker data and considered this as org data. Both things had something in common, which was employee. We identified the common fields and based upon the common field, we applied the join and we got the details. That exactly we did the same in here. Here we can see that when we do this, we get somewhere 70. 783 rows. Are there sample rows which are exactly the same which we had in the or in the worker data? In worker it also we have 783 calls. Why? Because we did the left join. Left join. What it will do is left join is as I mentioned you. In left join, all the fields of the primary pipeline will come and the matching of the secondary pipeline will come. Primary pipeline had 783 rows. It only will show only bad data. Now let's see what will happen if I do more of it. Let's say remove this error. Let me edit it, and here we have applied a left join. Let me do inner join. Inner join will also reflect the same number of 73 columns because it will only identify the matching details only. Let me do a join. In join, when you apply, it will process the data. It's processing. 7 and when I go to here, when I go to org data, we have 794 fields. And here also we are getting 796, something there might be plus or minus 1, maybe some technical issue, but when you refresh it or save it, it will show the exact ones. Basically, I will just simplify the fundamental over here. Here that, let's say the worker data, and here, or data, is having 794. There is a difference between the number of rows. Here a question for you. When I do a left outer join, considering this is a primary pipeline, primary and this is secondary, can you let me know if I do a left join in this scenario? What will be the, are you able to hear me? Excuse? Are you able to hear me? Yes, I can hear you. I got some. I'm gonna do the left. Here, if I do a left join on this scenario, how many rows will come in this scenario? Can you answer me for this? I mean, I don't know how much the common field is. What I mean, no, in left join, what will happen is, if there will be common, it will come. Otherwise, this all rows will at least come, it will be 7 and 83. We can say exactly this is the minimum we're going to get plus we get something extra. Extra. There are less chances of getting extra. Why? Because we are doing a left one, left join. What you do is left. Join will get all the data from the primary pipeline and the matching one from this one. It won't get any additional. It will get additional columns but not the rows. Yes. In that case, when I do a join, it reflects me 794 because it will at least give me this rows. Got. And when I do an inner join, when I do an inner join, in that, the thing which you told will come into the picture, that in inner join, only the matching one. Let's say here, there are 783 rows and there are 74 rows. But let's say only 20 rows are matching. In both of them, 20, we know only to it. In inner join, 20 rows will only come. Mim, because they are common part. Yes, that these are the only commons they identify. They are matching. Here, if you see this diagram here, it says that which coincides with each other, which are in common. Only those will come then when we do an out full outer join, full outer join. In this case, account might go 794 plus. Why I mentioned 794 plus? Because we don't know that how much fields are in common. If they are not in common, additional row will come. All the data will be combined together from primary and secondary. Any questions in understanding this concept, or do you want to repeat it, or how is it for you? Maybe one more thing that is related. Back to the Workday. When you show me how you're going to be choosing the columns, do you have an option to choose the, for example, let's just say employee ed, worker ed. They're gonna be the first one. Can you switch the places? For example, let's just say I want to have a legal first name as the first one, but I want to have a worker employee ed too. I just want to have the order to be different. What I mean, this is going to be the first call. This is going to be the second one. You want to sort the arrangement. Here worker, you want it later. You want legal first name here. That we can do it. That we can do it here. Let give turnover here, that can do by manage field. We can go to manage field and we can reorder it. Here I can go and I can go here, and here I can move row and I can mention that. Move. If I want to move multiple one, let me do multiple this and this last name, and move first, not move first. As an employee. Here you can see employee is there, and here if I give done, here employee legal first name and worker came here. In join, what do is? Here in join, we will only be able to connect these fields and select what fields do we want to include. That's why I mentioned earlier that this unsaid rule, that when you create a DDS, you should include a managed field in the beginning and at the end of it. Because when you do the transformation, there are chances that the org data might come in the end. Super or supervisory organization data in the last will not make sense much. It should be somewhere in between. In such cases, keeping a managed field not only helps us in the changing the name of it, but also arranging the data in a proper order. That is how we do it here. Let me do the outer join again. Generally, people use left outer join in most of the cases, but still it's as per the requirement how they want to use it. Yes, any confusion in join, or do you want a repetition? How do you want to keep it? I think I need to try to do something that myself. I just get some, join few of them and look at how the results look. I would highly recommend to do with a smaller size of the data where the number of rows are 4 or 5. 4, 5, maximum 4, 5, pick one data. Pick one data set in which only 4 or 5 rows are there, and pick another data which has slightly less or slightly more number of rows, that you will be able to understand the concept in detail more. But I'm actually going to create my own data set. I'm going to create some CSV file, 2 of them 4 rows, and I'm going to try to merge them. All yes, that you can do. Thus you need to keep in mind is to keep at least one row in common in both of them, that you will be able to perform a join into it. And here always when you do practice it, you need to just keep this in mind, this particular snap. What are the joins? This is the inner join, full join, left join and join. What this means is that how the join will be performed. Here we covered on the import, join union group, by now see explode, the function of explode. This is used but not much depending on still the scenarios, but still we will see. Here explore is used or explore stage to convert multi-instance field into instance field. Workday takes each instance value in multi-instance field and create a new record for each instance. We will look into it now. Let's say here we did a join and we did all these things. But now let's come to the this BDSRB data, and here I will show you that here Logan McNally is there with employee 210001. And when I scroll on I can see that number of dependents are 2 for the Logan and they are multi-instance field. It's a one-to-many relationship. Now here the data, if I want to do some calculation on this, Megan and Pat. Let's say I have some benefit data and I want that I only assign some values on the spouse data. Here the relationship with Megan of Logan is Asa. Logan is mother and Megan is the daughter of Logan and Pat is the spouse of the Logan. What I want to do is I want to separate this because it's in a multi-instance field. I want to separate this in a different row and I want to assign some value to the spouse row. How you do it? I'll be able to do it with explode. Let me add a join between this stage, between this join and import stage. I'll click on this eye. We'll click explode. Explode. Here when I click on explode, it will select the field to explode. I need to select the field. Here it will automatically give me the field which are multi-instance. You can see it won't give me long list of it, but it knows that which are the multi-instance field. In whole our data set, only a dependent field is. A multi-instance field, when I click on multi, that dependence over here, it asks me that what will be the newly created field, then got refreshed. I will do it again, explode. Here, when I click on dependence, it is showing me that this field will be dropped after this stage. Basically, it will remove this column. Why? We'll keep it. It will hard that in which row this data will consist of. Here it is asking me that the name of the newly created field what you want to create. Keep it, drop in any associated report field. You can add the report field in a managed field stage and keep null value rows. Now I will do a preview. I won't click now. I just wanted to preview the changes that. How does it look here? You can see if I do it here. The previously for Logan there was only one row, but now there are two rows for the Logan for the same employee and one row consists of a Megan and another row is for Pat. Similarly for state, Steve also. Steve is coming for 3 times. Steve, Steve. And if we see their dependents, here Josh is there, Catherine is there and Elizabeth is there. Basically, it's creating multi-instance into a single instance. That's the simplest thing. In a simple words, I can state that one row is one dependency. Exactly. One row, one dependent. Previously, it was one row, but multiple were there. Here, what it was, only one row was there. One row was there, and in one row, only both were there combined. What we did is we created 2 rows for it. Let's say here 783 rows are there and will double. Then it will increase. Why? Because number of rows increase depending on the dependents they have. Some might have 2, some might have 3. Here if we see the number of rows and this one it became is 1878. Got it? This is how the explode works. I doubt in explode. One idea comes to my mind. If you have a supervisor org and you have maybe 5 people under you, what I mean, and you might want to use that option to explode. For example, list each of these employees in the one row. Yes, in that case we can do it. Otherwise, we can map with worker data. That is also can be the double thing. Let's say we have supervisory, one data set, supervisory org data, and the other I can pull worker data and I can map it together with the supervisory organization and employee. That is also a workaround. We can do it. Yes, that's also possible. Because if we do the explore in that, there are chances that the other data might also affect in that case, still it. I mean, basically it depends on the scenario only. If the scenario supports, we can do this. That is, I will remove the stage. Because if I do, I will be able to easily explain the other things. As I mentioned the stages which I mentioned, that the most user filter group by. Join management union. These are the most used. One then explode and unfavorite are used, but very less depending on the scenarios only. But you will casually. Means use filter group by join because there are this cases this scenario will occur more often. Then I will go to unpivot now. Any questions in explode? No, I don't think I understand why. You say it's not user too much. Yes, but still you can just note it down somewhere that it is used to convert a multi-instance field into single instance field. Nothing more than that. It basically breaks two of one multi-instance into a single instance. Because we don't know what thing comes up. At least if you're noted somewhere, it's good. Unpivot is there. Unpivot, what it does is, it converts the data from column. From rows to column or row. For that, if you see the symbol also, you can see the column data has been taken to the column. If I click on it, it will ask me for the input field. Here I can mention. I have to mention two fields. One is employee, other is gender. Name for the input field, name for the output field. You can mention as employee. Might begin. What is it? Different type. Does he mean a boolean or integer or what? I'm sorry. No, I was thinking about the error. It was saying about the different types. Basically, the gender is instance field. It is saying that to keep these in a same one, I will convert from instance to text over here for our purpose and give done. That's why we will do employee and in two different ways. Now we had employee in text format. And the gender was in the instance field. I converted into the different format. But here it seems that it will show me error. Let me fix that. instance, I will add a field and create a tender and I will click. I have converted gender from one format to another one. Yes, I need to change the data type of it as I'll change the data type of it to shrink and I will version string. Always let me do. I will use a case when I'm that case when gender. And to mean then you tell me M. Which thing is not there? We need to convert it somehow. Else it should say M was for male, for female it's gonna be F. No, actually here the issue is that it is saying that that thing will only work if the source field is text. Here, that is the issue which we are facing. Let me check another workaround if possible. Basically, we want to match the two field steps together. That is the error we are facing in the first one. Here if I go and if I go to unpivot and let me here. The employee is in the text format and the other one is in the gender is in the instance format. Let me take worker here and let me take gender here and it should work. Name of the input field. Values will be worker and gender and review the name. The error might be in the name invalid. Unique name duplicate field name is let me name is 1. 1 review this. Metal source. Select input that contains the same field type. This will have different type worker and gender. And put thank you. It worked previously. Let me check what is the issue. Generally it works with the MP ID and this thing, but there's some issue. I'm going to agenda 1 as an output field value. What does the error say? I think worker, I might either a number or a number or a number. Or is it? Am I wrong? I don't know. In my company, we have a worker ID name and a second name and the middle name. I'm not sure if I thought that worker was a first and last name when I was looking to here at the other datasets, but I'm not sure anymore. Yes, generally it's the first name and last name, but still, if company sets up a functionally in that way, then it can be done. I see the presentation now. I don't see the world anymore. Yes, I'm just checking it. Have created some hang for it. No worries, look this in the next one, not an issue. It's some technical issue we are facing, but figure it out the way. The data type is not matching it. Try to match this code together, but check, no worries. Click done over here and click it delete for now. But you understand the concept here. The explore filter group by join a management union and validation is all are the new ones which are added. That still need to be checked to be tested here. That what is the thing basically? Just to give you an overview of it, I would say that validation is validation of particular data group field. Exception threshold and table exception. The main reason is that we created a rule to validate the particular thing. Let's say we are mapping something that to validate a particular value. Let's say I have different types of gender and I want to merge that into one. Let's say there are 6 types of gender. Someone, let's say they identify themselves as a bisexual, but still they want to keep what they want to keep them assigned to a particular gender, and that comes, we can create a mapping that if someone says bisexual, then male. If someone mentions up another one, it should fall in the male. Likewise, create a scenario, basically a mapping of it, and then those mapping we will try to replicate. And that we will try to replicate. Here, we will validate those mapping over here. Currently, this is newly introduced one. We can check on this and because this is a newer concept and it's still basically unstable, people are testing fields on it and exploring the ways. If I find something, I will let before the end of this training. We got this into one and the mall and the value mapping. It is from the finance one. You won't get in the HCM attempt. We will also cover this. 1. You can see that here all the details are related to C building revenue category, sales item billing code. This is completely on the finance end, and if you work on the HCM end, you won't get this one. Are you into HCM or finance? I kind of support each of them, but on the very low level. I mostly uploads, for example. If you have a super seller program, some team members are getting some percentage of they earning based on how much they sell. I do the calculation. I upload the data and what they spend them out. That's what I do. I also oftentimes change the cost centers. Because my company is a few companies together, They have a separate cost centers for us, separate departments, and sometimes they changing them in the Coupa, and they require the change in the word to match that. It's more a data management on my side, not as much as analytic. Got it? Not an issue. Cover this remaining stage, the unpivot one. I'll just check what the technical issue which we are facing, for which are not able to do it. We cover it up, and then we can start with the calculate fields. We have a time. Do you want to cover a few of them, or do you want to keep it together, all the cal fields? It's up to you. Actually, I can keep going with this. No worries. I will just introduce to you with some of the basic one is trim substring length and concate. As we see here, there are the number of call fields are too much. Let's say you go to add field. Here, when I click on add field, I will let an option to name the field. When I click on it, I will be able to name it. Here, by default, the field type will be text, but still, depending on the data, it will change. Then I can hide the field over here when I click. On function library, I will get all the functions which are available. Function are nothing, just a formula. This same thing is available when this is a formula bar. When same thing is running, click on this. It will expand and I will get same thing. Here I can draft my formula and here I can do this. Do some working on this side. Now let's say I want to validate. Now let's check a formula that whether the employees are correct or not. I want to change the length of it. Sometimes what happens is sometimes the phone number is there. Sometimes what happens is that employee, someone mentions additional number. Let's say if someone's employee is a sovereign one, but they will enter Zarauzanu one. That will create an additional character into it. This ideally doesn't make sense when we see the data, but when we load this kind of data into the IBs, when they send it across by integration, we have a character limit. In that, what happened is the first few character, they have that limit that they will identify that. In your organization, the first 5 fields are the first 5 characters will be the employee. Then it will automatically pick first 5 characters as an employee only. Let me show that scenario first for your understanding. When we send a file via integration, the integration file will be this that at 10 months Steve Morgan. You can see there's no space. There's no delimitation together. There's no space, no delimitation. But how the system identifies is when the vendor gives us the integration details. He mentions that your organization has first 4 letters, as first 4 letters as the ID. In that it will detect it. But let's say if it becomes Azure 181, it will take only first 4 letters, this one only, and others, it will take the rest thing. It's basically, you can say, fixed length. Length is fixed for every data column. For Steve, there won't be. Because the name might be different for us. What they will give is they will mention that we can allow up to 10 characters of name. If TV is there, we can keep fillers that keep a space. Team, then space will be there, and then Morgan will be there. Audit. This it will work. In that case, I want to validate that. How much that is if that employee ID is within the limit or not. It has someone put the data incorrectly or not. Because when we get the data from legacy system, it works in that way. I will mention the formula. I can search the formula here. And the formula is length. I click on length and here the formula is length and the name. Let me come again length of and in square bracket. I will whenever I do a square bracket. It will show me the list of fields available. I will mention employee and I give apply. When I do this, I will get to know all the other numbers. All the employees are within the find number, 5 characters. Correct, 5 characters that I can do for this one as, let's say, cost center. Let me check if I'm able to cost center ID. What it will do is it will count the characters. Here you can see the cost centers are also here. It is null. That's why it is giving me null. Otherwise for cost enter also it's 5. This one cost enter it is 3. I know that the standard practice of the cost enter is 5 and someone has created a test scenario and that the cost enter he has kept as 3 characters. Again, identify such issues by using this formula. Then I can use the trim function. What a trim function does is, it will get the 2 characters, first 4 characters, all that. When I go trim, what trim will do is, let's say I'm not sure what. Oh yes, you were saying something. No, I was thinking what the trim is going to do. I was expecting it's going to shorten some text or cut something. Exactly. Here, when I give trim and I get this and let's go for the employee. If I type employee, see it's not coming. Because I need to enter in square bracket. Field name will be always in a square bracket, employee ID, and here the string suggests that trim, and here apply trim is a row function that removes leading or trailing spaces from a text values. But here as we see, we don't have any trailing or lead spaces. Trailing all these spaces as in what that, let's say here 1001 is there, but there's no space. Here this is there, but let's say here the space is there. Here you can see the extra. Blue is coming this blue is extra. There's a space, it will trim those extra white spaces. Got it? This is the function of trim. Now coming to the other example, which is substring. Substring shortens the thing. Let me search for substring. When I go to substring, it will mention that substring. I need to mention a string and I need to mention from 0 to 1 how much I do want to do it. Let's see. Let's check that I want here. A legal first name is there. And let me check if there's any middle sort ascending. If there's any middle name, all are null. Not an issue. What I want to do is I only want the last name's first character. In that case, I will create this. Sometimes happen that people don't want to disclose or send the last name. In that term, first of all, I will see the fun. Especially they see how the function works. Functional works in this way. I can go here. I can mention substring. And substring. I will mention the field which is legal last name. And here I will mention the character. It starts from 0, start end. You apply. You have 5 first letters. It's going to be 0, 5. Yes. Let's say here, if we see that white is there, scholar white is there. It's a 5-letter thing. Let's say we do 3-letter. Here 3-letter. Let me change it here a 3 and give. Done it will substring up to 3. I mean up to 3 letters. From 0 to 3. See white, only view it is, but then we can also do here. Let's say I don't want. First I want from the second letters. Only I can do 2, 3 as this. No issue, it will take accordingly. This thing is not necessary. It should always be 0. I can keep. I can pick from middle as give me the third letter. If we see the for white. The third letter is I for here. It is C. I just picked up with this one. This is the thing apart from it. The other thing is concatenate. We covered trim. Prim is it will remove the tree link and white spaces. It's nothing much. Substring we covered. Length we covered. Concatenate we will see. For concatenate, let me see. Open this one. Remove this. And it's concatenate over here. Concrete. Basically, what it does is combine things together. Here, let's say I have first name and last name here. I have Skylar is there, first name is there and last name is there. And I'll assume that I don't have this combined together here. The worker name is coming, but it's not. It is coming C. It's a symbol for the contact workers. I don't want that. Let me reload this, otherwise it will finish off the working in between. I will add a field. I want to concatenate it. And I don't want to see which is coming, which is symbol for the contact worker here. What I will do is I will go here. I first of all see the function. I will see the function, what the function work. I will click on this. I will see concrete, the field. And this thing, here let me type concrete and then I will mention legal first name, legal last name. I will give apply. Once I do it, it will concatenate together. But here there will be a catch. Here there is a catch. See, it did the work concatenate. But there is no space in between. Because you also didn't mention, I just told that combine this thing together. For that I will enter a space between them. Space I have to mention in the inverted comma. In inverted comma, I will do this and I will give comma and here I will mention one space. I just want one space. I can give apply when. Here you can see a one space has came up. Here in inverted comma, I can enter anything. I can enter a special character as, let me put it this way. I'll mention start over here. I have you this. It will take this special character accordingly. This is a space makes sense. The I can concrete two things together and I want any. Special characters on a space in between. I can always enter it into the inverted comma. This in this drag in this one and I'll be able to do it. This is the string type, the text. Prism, calfields are basically the common use functions which discuss. The list is very long. Discuss the common used one. You can explore the library and check. All the functions are also given. Cover the text. Cover the logical conversion and date and windows into the coming sessions. Actually, this task will be important. For here you can mention the report name. Here you can name any name. I have given the name as in the assignment. You can copy this to work here in the PDF. The funny thing is that I get an error. Let me show you. It was showing it already exists. I mean, it's not a problem. I can just call it a little bit differently, for example. But this report name already exists. That's one thing. But the other one is how can I do it without the data source? Because it shows me here that this is a mandatory. In the report time, you need to actually select the advanced report. Once you do it, and advanced report over there. Because yes, as we discussed that in a WinPrism, only advanced reports are supported. Untick this option. And in data source type worker for HCM reporting. In the data source. Yes, correct. The error which you are facing is that already that report is available. It might be that because someone might have created that report with the same thing. With the same name. That is the thing. It's not an issue. But in data source, I provide worker for HCM reporting data source. You can type for HCM reporting, otherwise the list will be too long for the data source. For workers for HCM, H for S for whole N. You can remove ES. I got it now. I'm looking for H. Yes. Now another name is come. You can name it plus a 1 in the end. That's fine, it will work. And actually a question enable as web service. Does it mean this is going to be on the FTP server? Enable as a web service is used for getting the file and putting the file using the API services when you want to use it in integration or you want to call this report PI. For that we enable this. If we don't enable it now, we can enable it later on as it's not an issue. I understand. Let's maybe. And now you need to click. Yeah, I did. And now actually, now in field you need to. Walker will be as it is. You can add a tab again. It will come. There's a plus. If I remember about the first one. Oh, when I remember the assessment, it says there's supposed to be employee ID. Oh, that will be in the fields. In fields on the side. Yes, the second column. The where you entered worker on the under, that's the first column on the second. Column, there's a field column with the name of field. Yes, exactly. Employee ad, and I see I have two more field column heading override. What is that? That's not a compulsory field. It's not mandatory field. You can skip it. It's for that. If you want to change the name of it, let's say in your organization, they don't. Name, they don't identify. Employee is employee, the employee, they mean that teammate ed. Or a group ID, they have some different naming convention for it. That you can change the name of it. Let's say here when you run the report, you will get the output. The new updated name will come in that column. Column heading over it. It's for that one and the options probably. No, that is for the currency we will select. Let display field as icon, don't show FMT. But it's an optional thing. And this is all for the worker. All for the worker. This is going to, that's the business. That's when they take the data from. Basically, the main purpose was to focus on the Prism more. That's the reason I haven't added much complexity to the report, because it won't make sense if I will add a relational business object to it and make it more complex. That is why I have kept all the things, which you can call it, from the primary business object, which is worker. That makes sense now. This worker, I think this also allows. Last, actually prompt is supposed to be here. That's the only one with the T. What does the T means here? T means it's a text field. It means it's a string, basically. It's a type of field. Yes, they have to do it. This is the part of the assessment. I can do it on the side. What I mean. What I remember is that I need to choose worker for HMC reporting. As a source. And everything else. Let's even say it's a data source filter. There is it? I don't know. How do you want to do it? Because I don't have to do it now. We can move to the some topics you have prepared, and I can just do it later on. Because now I understand what you mean. That's fine. Basically, in data source filter, there's an all active workers. In order to get more reports, more records, we can change it from all active workers to all workers. When you go to all data source filter, under data source, remove it and type all workers. Over there, all work. Fifth option is there from the top. Fifth option from the top, fifth option. And now in the advanced tab, the error is coming. You can see columns is written under additional info. In the advanced above the table, there are options. Column, sort filter, subfilter. We need to go to advanced. Correct, last one, advance in that same line. Here you need to enable for Prism. That's the only step you need to keep in mind. Otherwise, the report won't be available. We need to also enable as web services both together. The option is above there. Or worksheet. There's an option, web services option. There it is. Now it disappears. If you don't enable that option, you won't be able to see the report in the Prism. When you will search it, because this option makes it visible into the present. By this you can add all the remaining column and do it. And you're all good to go to create it. And as you're saying that, it is showing you an error that already the report is available. I think it's in case you don't need to create a report. There might be existing report available as maybe I might have created for testing it to create this assignment. Because of that, the report might be. You can see it. Realize I don't want to start again. I'm just gonna add the names. 2 more columns. Write 2 more fields and I'm gonna save it for now. I'll be back for this later. And last one is this. This one is going to be quicker maybe. Is it already created? Is it already created? You can go on the error. Yes, you can go and click on error because this web has a field worker time. It's prompt qualifier alone. In the basically menu, worker type prompt qualifier, you go to prompts. Where you go to for advanced option prompts, yes, prompt, and scroll down a prompt. Yes, pick mark on that from run define. Yes, when you enable a report for web services, need to mention some default fields for it, for that. You can now run the report and check the output. How do I do it? In the below there is an option of run, test and done. In the top, not in the top, but in the bottom left corner. I see. You want me to click test. You can give run. The run will also work because the sizes of the data is not much. Will be around under. You can run with the defaults, you can run. These are not the mandatory ones. Here I see there is no red star, no mandatory ones. You are getting the data in a correct format, that's completely fine. Basically, you are getting the report via code. Now you can go to data catalog and search for the report. That whether you are able to get it or not, if you are able to get it, your one thing will be done. You will be able to work on it later as, can I just search this by the name if I wrote it or? Yeah. You will be able to search it by the name as, wait, is it a log? I run it now. That was the only one time when I run it. Good to know. Now what I'm going to need to do, I need to create a data set to fill up this. Wait, I need to take a look again. Terminology is basic. It's an assignment. It might a little bit confusing for you, but I have tried to use the naming convention in a way that it's not exactly the same. But if you understand, and if you understand the conceptual wise, you will be to understand. Basically, whatever you created, we created a report now. We will use this as a data source once as a data source. To create a base data set, when you go to Prism and when you go to create a base data set, it will ask you to get the source of the data, whether it's a file, SFTP or it's a report. We create a report. Why? Because for the base data set, the source of the data will be this report. My problem with assessment was I tried to do it the other way around. I was assuming that I need to first have a data to create a report out of them. And I was looking for it on that field that was mandatory. Hey, you need to get some data to make report first. Can you go to the data catalog? I think if you're saying that the report, if it's saying it's duplicate, it might be available. Then, if in case you're not able to create a report, that existing report might work for you. I have it. It's going to load some. Because I remember I created a report similar to that a few weeks or 1 or 2 weeks back just for the testing. You can create a base data set that you are creating a derived data set. You have to go to create and select on custom the custom below one the base data set. and that is there is asking for a report, and this was one. Let's see if it finds it. I think this is the one. Restrict it to. I don't think I need to restrict it. Report criteria. Yes, report criteria are those which you are asked while running the report. That is, you need to mention it. If not, then you can click on. Otherwise, you need to disable it in the prompts. It will run for the default ones. You can do it. Run. If you will run now, it will immediately load the data set with the new data. Good data set. Now you can name the dataset name. What name you have to give, that I also mentioned in that assignment. Actually, I'm going to go to data catalog now. I'm not sure if I can see it on the first page, but maybe there is something that it was created. I see it. Consider that that is the one which you created. You can view it, and that will open. I mean, a new tab will open. There are a few things here. I think these two columns were just added. Yes, that. Will that we discuss that when we do a load add, it will be same for every load. Load add means when, let's say you loaded today, that alphanumeric code will be assigned to it and time will be mentioned in the timestamp. The second field, that at what time you loaded the data, when you append the data, it will identify the uniqueness of the data. Let's say you have 50 data and 50 rows you have, and each day 10 rows are appending. For 10 rows, the load add and timestamp will be one separate. For the second pair, for another pair, it will be separate. For each day, there will be different timestamps available. Be able to identify that this data was loaded on 1st November. This was loaded on 10 November, and the ID will be also same for it. If you go to the detail tab as on the top corner, under the quick action, there are two icons. Yes, the detail. Table view. Here you can see the last two columns loaded. The loaded is same for all of them. Why? Because this all data came in a single load. And the date is also same for him. Make sense? This is the same value when I look at this. Yes. Now you have given only the replace option. But when you will give append the data, and when the new data will get appended, the new thing will come. The new loaded will come, and that new timestamp will come. Exactly, basically now I have how much is getting? Almost to 500, maybe even more. You can see on the top corner how many rows are there. If you don't want to count it once by scrolling it down, you can scroll up completely. And can you go to the, when you went to the table view, can you go to the other view? Can you go to the activities? In the field. It's not published yet. That's what it tells me. I could refresh, but it still tell me a tab published. Let me see. Transformation integration node. Then again, this is pretty long though. I wouldn't really use option append. I mean, because it's gonna double the size. I think you will get that option when you for the desired data sets. Only how many records are there? Idly choose for the data set. I have seen that doing it. You will get to know that how many rows data you. Actually, since this is an upload, is there any way to, I don't know, see the integration file on the upload? I know it's not coming from an Excel spreadsheet or anything I upload to the. It was coming from an internal source. But I was wondering, let me maybe show you. No, you told me that the prism is not visible in my actions. It's probably not going to be nothing here. If I would go to my task and see the history of my actions, probably not going to be visible. No, here those things won't be visible. Basically, this is a Workday ecosystem and you won't see the all things which you created over here. This is a complete. As I mentioned that Prism is a different workspace. It was named as it is integrated to Workday. And yes, it is integrated to Workday. But it's a complete different workspace. When you go to Data Catalog, you completely go into the Prism workspace. You won't get notification that you uploaded the file. You did this changes or you did any particular task, you won't be getting any notifications. Over here we will filter it out, the data based upon the recent development. Thank you. Let me see if I'm able to do a case on the existing one. Case and I see you trying to use if when now. Thank you. Don't you have to provide a value for else? Else equal F, for example, M for male, F for female. Yes. I'm just testing that will I be able to do with existing, because this is a different thing. I'm just randomly entering this one. Ideally, we have to do that. You're correct. But here the instance in the text. I cannot compare a value of instance with a field. That is just experimenting it. But let me go with the change. It was the type of the field, because fields have the type too. Yes, here are the field types we discussed. Here are the field types. Let me show. No, I know we discussed that. I was just wondering, if we choose, we want to compare a number with the field that has a number. Basically, we need to mention that the field should be matching. Instance might be 2-minute relationship. In that case, only few will get into account. But in numeric ones, we know that it is a fixed range, that 1 to 100 or 1 to a certain thousand, or that numeric we haven't range. It's a predictable range but instance. We don't know what the instance may come up with. In that cases, we are not able to consider it. Here, let's say if the age is greater than 40, then it should show us as I'm just testing it for now, else we're applying. I think it will work. It will work. It's working. If you see the age, it works. For the case 1, I will recreate it again with the explanation. The function library for the case is when you have to go to the case. You can click over here and see the syntax. Syntax basically shows that how you can format it. Case when input the condition and then output expression else, and end here the gender is written. The gender would have worked if the gender was into the text format. You remember here. If I close it and show it to here, the gender is into the instance format, instance here, where it went here. Gender here is into instance. Because we are creating instance and comparing with the text, it is showing as invalid. Again, if it's a numeric, we can compare it with a numeric one. The same thing, we can compare it. Makes sense. When you look at this table now, where is the old? Is it adding the colon old or is it not? Yes, it is adding, but is it now? Maybe I'm gonna confuse myself, because what we're looking at is this is already a data set. And this is I do this. Do I add a column to the data set or not? Basically, we have already created a desired data set. This is this. And in the data set, we are adding a field to it. If we create this functionality into the Workday, we can also do it by creating a valued expression. There's a field with it. But for that, it's a long, cumbersome process. And let's say I'm getting a field outside from the, let's say, age I'm getting. Not from the Workday, but from the outside of the Workday. In that case, I will be easily able to create that field in this prism only. Because I was wondering if this is just a view or do we, the dataset will have it saved. And as long as the Manage Field Stage ID tool is here, as long as this is here, we still have this column extra. Let's say if I delete this, the call field also will go because this call field is created in this stage. If I create this, if I delete this, the call field will go. But let's say if I go to another stage, you save and let me add another manage field over here. Let me name this as age group. We are then fine. The age group is there and we give manage field. Here you can see age group. Will automatically come. If I click on it now, I am able to see that 16 fields are there. If I click cancel on it, here I will be able to see 16 fields and 1. Out of that, 1 calculated field is there. If the list of calculus is long, I can click over here as I will be able to pop up age group here. You can see age group is coming here. Yes, age group is coming. Let's say if I created 2 fields, I have created, let's say, another field within of test field and I kept this here too. calculated came 17 fields are there, out of which 2 are calculated. Fields, this is total fields, and out of the 17 one, 15 are Workday. The other means 15 are the default ones and 2 are calculated fields. Yes, it's group, and if I come here, I will be able to see age group and test fields. This is how it works. These are the, if I delete this one. Let me first create a manage field over here and click. Here also we have 17 fields, and here also we have 17 fields. You can see here it is showing 0 calculated fields because we created calculated fields over here now in this stage. It will consider the this call fields as a part of dataset only. It has integrated. It will no longer identify it as a call field, and I won't be able to edit it as see if I click on it. I won't be able to edit it. I'm able to see the ratio old and young and the other fields. But if I go here and if where I actually created a call field, I will be able to edit it. Let me go here and see. I'm able to see the expressions. I'm able to edit it. Where you created it, only there you can see. And now let's say I'm here also 17 fields, here also 7 bills. Let's see, I delete this one. In this stage, here it is showing me error, and the error is the same, that the 2 fields are not available. See the age group. Text was not found in the previous stage. The test field was not found in the previous stage, and if I scroll down, it will show me, it will ask me to remove it. Here, no, it is showing. Once I remove it, it will show me the data. I click done to show me the data over here. It's showing. If I again explain the call field for the create for getting field, call field for the case 1. I need to go to case here. Case, this is a string, and here let's say we are doing for the age case. I give to enter, and when I need to enter the condition, always I need to mention the fields which I have to use in the square bracket age, and here I have to mention the fields. The age should be greater than 20, and I can also mention and condition as and less than 30. Then it should identify as. And also for young, I need to mention in the apostrophe in this because it's just the name of this. It's a string. There's no actual value to it. And then when I will enter, the condition then when greater than and less than I will mention it as 40. I can mention, and also I can enter the 10 condition when the 10 condition here as. It's not that, but for understanding, it's good to have a good practice to enter below. Otherwise, in one line also I can enter all the things. It's not that I can do it. It's just for readability, because you might have 40 lines of text here, 40 lines of code. It might be complicated to read later. Yes, exactly. And you can see when you also, this is a code. When you review your code, it is easy for you to identify it. Then 40, then it should have been voltage. Let me simplify it when the AS. It is less than, and here when the age is less than here. and here. It is the same now. Exactly. That's now, it's covering everything, I think. No error. It's good. Well, if you see the age here, if you scroll, the age is also 60, 47 plus, and then moving under, you can also add a filter that filter only the age group is equal to middle age. Here we got all the workers who are middle aged 37-30. Is how it works. This is the case, the call field with the name of case. Now let me show the other examples, that conversion to date, the convert text value to date value. Let's say we have any field with the name of a date. Here we got this date, but let's say we created a add field and date, and this is into string, and we are mentioning a static 101. Here it took us a double. Now let the conversion to argument text, but argument is double provided we can do the conversion of it. To the text first, I will save this as a text. To string. This is, for example, I'm just showing that I'm saving as a string to create a scenario. Let's assume that we have a changing the data. Into the string says what the data, that says exactly we are doing that. They're just changing the data of it. Type of the data, what's good about this? Now I'm thinking maybe you can make more calculations because I'm not sure. Actually, if it's true, but maybe you can just divide some things, I don't know. Everybody, let's just say everybody after first 3 months is getting the contract or something. That you can make more calculations now because this is a stream understandable. What was your logic to create a tool? Hello, yes, for example, in some countries after 3 first months of working, you are getting a regular contract first. 3 months is your testing period. Maybe you want to have a column that has 3 months to every start date. And then exactly when this person is going to be full-time regular employer, something that depends on the country, but we can create a case condition or that we can mention that it fired it first of All we can create a difference field, let's say date difference, we can convert that here. Let's say mention date difference as it. Days between, we can mention. And here days between. Day difference and to date. Here we can mention higher date. Higher date and today. Today is a static night date. Dynamic field. We can interchange it here. If this value is bigger, height it is bigger, we can change it. We can keep 2 days first, and that second is this, get in the positive number. That's more of a function. Here we can see that 9 to 73 days are there from the higher. Now we want that people who have completed 60 days. Here the case is that no one is falling in that scenario. Either we can do is we can pick the worker who have completed. Let's say we are considering people who we are giving a gift to, we are up, here 60 days are there. The example is very less. Let's consider that we are doing a promotion of people and the people who are above 1000 days completed, they are eligible for certain benefits. Now create. Here this is a date difference. We will name it a date difference. And we can add a field and we can create a case condition, that case when the date difference is there. Date difference is more than 1. And 1000 eligible for promotion. Else we can mention probation. Can we mention promotion eligibility? Here we will be able to see the updated data. These are all are in 1000. Eligible for promotions. When you scroll down, it's coming as probation. These all are. 793 by the. You can flag. This is flagging or identifying the numbers cases. The condition for case is also used according to this methodology as you want to also try any other scenarios in this. Yes, that makes sense for me. Basically we are. It's not that all the things will be able to do it in case. Sometimes you also need to create a date difference. You can see that here. If I do the calculation over here, it would be tricky for me. What it is, I break the things into two. First of all, I created a calculate for the date difference, and that output I used here. It's not that always you will get one solution in this one. Because also if you open a function library, the function library is huge. There are too many functions available in each of them. But what happens is when I do this, if I compare with the Excel or any SQL queries which we use, it's still less in that we have to use a calfill numerous times to get the output. That is the thing, the to date is understandable. Then this add and truncate one, this is also the same. If you want to add a field, let's say I want to add a field here. Let's say date add is that truncate date to a specific format or today's date. We use this today's date if I create a call field and I mention it that today's date, and here I mention today. Today in the bracket will always give me today's date. I haven't mentioned today's date, but it will bring me 14/11. If I run it tomorrow, it will give me 5/11. If I run it day after tomorrow, it will give me 6 point. It is dynamic field. Now let's do a date add. Date add, and let's see the query for date add. Date and time, quantity and interval. Here it is mentioned that date add. I will mention that I want to add a date for the higher date. Higher date in that I want to add intervals of, let's say, 10. And in 10 I want to add 10 as a year. I will mention here for this particular person, the date for high date is for the first record. If you see, hide it is to 1 2000, and according to my calculation I have added 10 years, it is 20D10. I can also add a month as, let's say I want to add a month. Let's say I want to add a 1/1 month and I glue. Let me add another field hide. It is here. We don't know how to. Yes, this is just, we recall the value from the ahead. Here is the higher date only. We do not have any calculation. Here you can see the first is the month 1/1/2000, and according to our new calculation here, we added 1 month to it. It's to this. It got increased. If I scroll it down as, here it is 3, it has become 4. For 6 it's become 7. For truncate, we can see that. Let's see for the truncate date. We will see the function library. Trunk order date. Let's say I want only a particular format trunk high date. Not giving the desired solution. Let me check. Let me give month. Change. It's coming as it is. Maybe we can save and refresh it. I should work because the string is also correct. No error is also coming. Maybe there's some issue from the work days in. Otherwise, it should work because we are also correct in the terms of this. One as we can recheck it again, and I will let what's the issue otherwise. The issue is not from Ren. The string is correct order, rate and date. Here we have mentioned month. We can change it to day as, but the issue is something else. It is actually useful because sometimes you don't want to provide all the data. You not just cut the part you really need. Yes, that I will. I will mention a use case. But when we send up personal information data, we only mention the day and month and not the year. Not because the age is a PR data, it's a personal information. We generally don't disclose it. While sending the data across the system, it is important for the manager to wish their employees their birthday, but they don't want to show the age. In that case, they again mentioned that 4th November, but 4th November what? 8599. 1990, that we can hide it over here makes sense. Here maybe there might be some issue with Prism. Sometimes it doesn't reflect the changes immediately, which is rare, but we can still look into it. I will also try in the client system that is facing same issue in that or not. Yes. And yesterday we covered the cal fields. Now cover the table part. A table is a thing that what happens is when we create a data set. First of all, when we created the data set, first of all, it will ask for a source of data and then be able to create a data set out of it. Whether it may be a base data set or whether it might be a derived data set, but table is different. When we create a table, it would ask for the file in the beginning. It will directly ask for the name. Let's say we name it TBL worker data. And here we won't give any text if it will create, and this already name exists. Table 1. And now it is asking for a file generally. It won't ask me in the first, but it will ask me in the second one. Here I will give a file upload file. Let me upload a file. With the value here or the data, click here, you can see all file must have. A whole amortized schema. Maximum style compressed will be 256 MB and max number of files will be 100. Let's say if I want to merge files together, I can add multiple over here. Let's say if I want to merge this and this as it's merging over here, that I can do. Let me remove this. And if you have more on 256 megabyte, does it give you an error that you can do it? Yes. If I have more than 256 MB compressed one, it will show me an error. And after showing the error, it will basically ask me to reduce the file size. But in that case, what we can do is we can create another table with another file. We can break the files into different parts. And when I upload, it will ask me for the file. And also when you saw here that here, these are the options available, that file upload, existing table or data set. I can also create a table with existing table or data set. What is the function difference between table and a data set? Main function of table is that it stores the data. Apart from, I mean in data set what you have seen is, let's say I create a 2 change in one data set, it will automatically reflect on the other one, but it's not in terms of table. Let's say if we create, let me show in. Here, let's open our Excel. I see your presentation now. Are you able to see the access now? This is Let me. Switch the tab. Now the Excel should be visible, is it? Yes, I see it now. What happens is, let's say, here I have BDS1 and it has column with the name of MPED. Then worker, phone number and country. Yes, now I have these options available and now I've created a DDS. DDS1 and DDS is taking input from this one. AMP ID, worker and phone country. It's separated. Me am audible. Yes, I am with you. Yes. Here let's say I did something in this. BDC1, employee, worker, phone number, country. And we have another DEEDS2 which is also getting this. All things here, the data flows from this BDS1 through this one. Whatever changes I make. Let's say I'll remove the country from here. The country also won't be available here, as here and here, as the country will go whatever changes I make. In the source one, it will reflect in the order. Let's say change the phone. Number name, here let's a phone number home. I mentioned, and it will also automatically reflect this changes here as and here as, because it will keep on updating spontaneously. But on the other hand, if let's say there's a table in between, let me table. What table does is it stores the data, and when this DDS is refreshed with the latest data, only then and then the new data will be reflected. Let's say here the country is there, I remove the country from BDS1 and I refresh the table. With the latest data, it won't automatically update it, but it will ask me whether to refresh or not. Once I refresh it, the country will also go from here, but still the country will remain here, because here the data set has not been updated. With the updated one table, still it has the old data. Now, as soon as I refresh this integration between table and data set, it will remove it will see that employee is there, worker is there, phone is there, and here it will automatically remove this. I'm trying to think, because remember when at the beginning, when it creates a custom report, we have two options. One is override data and the second is append add. I was wondering if you can set up here such options, because I'm trying to think. This looks BDS1 is exactly the copy of table is copy BDS1 and DD is2 is a copy of table. But if it's amending the data, adding the data, then after refreshing the table, DDS2 wouldn't be changing. I was coming to that part. If you use the replace and append, basically my main intention was to explain the logic of it. That if we do any changes from BDS1, the data was from 1 to table to DDS2, it is just for adding and removing it. If we don't give replace any figure append, then the country will stay. It won't go from here, but it is about any changes. Let's say change the name of the field, that will also reflect here. Because even if I check for an employee ID, it's also going to be uploaded to that. Let's say change the employee ID over here. Let's say change the employee ID. Here emp ID is there and I mentioned employee ID. And here is also employee ID. But here I didn't change because the mapping is in that way. And this is just one small part about the table. The main purpose of table is to store the data. Yes, because table is a kind of when you work with SQL also. There's a table. The simple meaning of table is that a table is a entity which holds the data, which stores the data. Here when I will show when I will go more practically able to understand. See, here you are seeing this option. Let me go to File Input. I will enter the file input from worker data and click Open and click Next. What's the error? If the file upload is in progress, now it's uploaded. Now you can see it is asking for me the schema. How do you want to use the schema? It has automatically defined the CSV, had this details and automatically detected that these are the employees in numeric form. This is the text field. This is country is in text field. Phone number is in numeric 1 and hide it. The date format is not supported here. It has taken into text format. Again, I can change it. If let's say I want employee ID in, let's say numeric form, I can change it here as. Once going ahead, I can change it. This part is very similar to past stage in the base data set. When I click on it, I will go to next. Here it will ask me to create. This is the schema editing part. Let's say I want to change the employee schema from numeric. Here you can see the field type. Is numeric here? Numeric is 19. I mean it's 19, the character before the decimal. And after decimal 0, I can edit the decimal that I want, decimal or not. But obviously employee, it doesn't have any. Decimal I can change it to the text. When I change the text here, you can see it reflected. It's a schema. Schema is what? The type of the data, the type of the field type. We covered that the data can be there from here. These are the options field types available: instance, multi-instance, numeric boolean. Date that I can change it accordingly. Here the data type won't be changed to the date. Here the date. There are less chances. Why? Because the date format is very different. Here I can mention the date format. Let's say here my date format was dd underscore mmy. Let's see if you're able to find it our match. It will refresh. Try to create it again. Are you able to understand or are you facing any issue? Let me know that I can have a different approach and explaining things. I think it's for now. Honestly, maybe I'm wrong, but I think that the table is the simplest. How to say that structure? Comparing to the data sets? Correct. In table, we won't be able to do any transformation. Table is not meant for doing any transformation. Table is meant for storing the data. Is it also meaning that if you want to archive some data, table would be good for that because it's taking less space. Table. The real case scenario where we use a table is that to store the historic data. Let's say we are getting a file on a monthly basis. They're getting a file for January. We are getting from February, March, April. But you also need to store that data somewhere. What do is we will transform the data and store into the. Will not give replace but will give append, and we will store each month's data, that January, February, March, that let me show here. Let's say here we have BDS1, this BDS1 is getting payroll data it's getting for each month. And it is getting a file for each month. And here we are creating a lineage. Let's say we created DDS1, we created DDS2. We did some transformation basically. This data flowed from this, it flowed from this to this, and transformation happened. Transformation, and then finally we confirm that this transformation is final. We won't be now doing any more transformations and we will publish it. But before publishing, what we will do is we will create a table. What this table will do is, we'll append the files. Let's say here we got the file from January, it will append the file January, or here, then again the new file came. February, then here also February will be there, but then January will go by. Because the file got replaced, it's not appending, it's just replacing yes. Yes, it's not replacing, it's appending. Now here BDS file came. Now let's say March file came and it got processed and it will now get appended over here in March. Because the base dataset doesn't have capability to store. We knew that in base dataset, when we create a base dataset, it will ask for the file input. And it can be only one file. And if you want to, and if you ingest a new file, it will either replace or append the data, and it won't store the data into one. That's why in BDS create a BDS through a transformation via the desired data set and store the working in the derived data sets. That's you said it's good for archiving. Gathering all this data. Yes, archiving. Yes, perfect. That's a perfect terminology used archiving the data. In real-time scenarios, also use the word archiving the data. And it's also good to show to somebody with a minimal access, because if you can do any transformation, it's a safe version to a final report. Hey, this is what it is, and you don't change anything anymore. We won't be able to do any transformation. Table is an entity with the data only. Yes, here let's say we're going to do file upload. I will just complete this step, or else it will refresh again to show how it will look. Network, we are not changing anything. We are just seeing that what are the files. Is it reading the CSS file correctly or not? Yes, it is. Here is the raw file. This is the raw data and it is reading the data correctly. And we give next here. As I mentioned, we can change the schema of it. It has identified by default as numeric because it has numeric value. But you want is a text, then it will change here. Also API name will have with a field name. I can also change the name of the field as from here. Here we change for. Number will keep as it is here. Let's say if this is available or not. Date. Now the table has been saved and is inserting the data for the first time. Here we can see if you go to fields, you will be able to see once it is populated. It is basically running in the background. In progress it is. Once it's completed, we will see the latest data over here. Here also you can see one thing. Is common that the update the timestamp load ID, then timestamp, it's same. Here two steps are operational update ID and row ID, update ID and row ID. I will explain you once this data is get populated. Meanwhile, do you have any confusions in understanding this concept of the table, or how is it? But you have some error actually. Are there? Insert 3 row. There was some issue with the data type maybe. Seems to the load was aborted because all the rows in the file had errors. If you do, error by downloading the file because the data, the format wasn't into the a particular, the way I think we would be able to open the Excel in this tenant, in this remote desktop. But here the main issue is that the data wasn't into good shape. If you see the worker data, the phone number was long for this one. It was unusual data. Because of that, error is coming. See what is the error. I will check and update you. But basically you understood the concept regarding the table. Any questions around it? But I want to ask about the process. Remember when you were refreshing, there was a information. There is input. Sorry, insert. That was the word. Where do you decide if this is a pending or overwriting? Good question. First of all, when create a table, we will create an initial table, but after the table, we will create a data change task. Let me go to data catalog, and in data catalog, I need to go to data change task, or from here also I can create a data change. Tasky data change task. If I am getting a data change task is used, if I am using any internal methods, internal method, as in if I am getting the data from any, let me open and show it to you. It is any have a dependency on some file and connection is we are establish a connection. From the external system, here I created a data change task. I will mention the data change task. I'll rename it. I will mention that this data set task is for table worker data underscore to and apply. It will ask for me the source. I will select the source from here. If I want to change the connection, I can change the connection as, let's say I uploaded the file for one time. But now I don't want to upload the file. I want this data to be reflected from file upload worker report data cat log sftp. Any of this one. Here this is a new update. Snowflake wasn't there previously. It came new, it wasn't there. Previously it was only a muster as 3 and Salesforce. I think it came in this update. Let's say I will go with the fog day report. In Workday report I will put pick the report. It will ask, is it asking for the name of the report? I will mention worker data. And here next, here you can see prompts or not. We haven't mentioned any prompts, it's fine. The target table. Now what will be our target table? Our target table is TBL worker data underscore to, which we have created this data change task is what herein. In data change task, we are configuring that it basically the responsibility of data change task is to do the changes by picking the files from one place to another. That's why it is asking for the source, and that is asking for the target. Once it's done, we will give next. And it is asking for the mapping. Let's say you are picking the data from source, DV worker data and putting it to film this. How do you do map the fields? Because the source has 13 fields and our target has 12 fields. Mapping is led When it will do the sync, it will do the mapping. Employee will go to map this one. And here legal first name will be mapped with the first name. All the data which will come from the legal first name will be merged to the first name. And last name. Here we will see legal last name. Location, let's say location is not there. City is there, but I don't think it will map it correctly. And other fields are employee legal first name, last name. Basically, we don't have anything with this particular way. I will give next mapping. Reset matrix. It won't allow you to map more than a source is giving you. Once we create this target, here this 7, it is asking to map at least 7. We are not able to map it. I'm just randomly assigning this over here, but the main is you need to map it properly. If you won't map it because the data type is not matching, I'm just assigning some random things just that the mapping gets completed. But ideally the mapping, what it means is employee ID from the report will go. This is the source and this is the target. This employee data will be populated with this column. This will be populated with this column. It works in that way. And it's also going to set the same type. For example, the legal first name is a text. It's going to become a text. Correct? Correct? Act. Let's see here. You can see I won't get options for the age. Let's say for 2, age is coming because the numeric is only matching. It is not taking the terminology into the account. Terminology as in what we say, but that field type. Here you can see I am getting only text. But here, because it's the phone number is numeric and I will get only the numeric. Options only, here the numeric option only is in age. Likewise for date, date also. Only one date type is there. Automatically came higher date. Yes, now when I go to next now, it will ask me that it's giving me error. Let me check why the error is not showing. I'm not sure why the error is not populating. It doesn't tell you anything actually. It just shows it's not how he likes. And here also there is no error. You click directly on the dot on the red one. Is it changing something mapping? Here also ideally it should pop with something. Let's change the source and try again here. Let's change the connection file upload. This is the existing configuration. Let's stick to this one and see how this change file works. Worker date. I will fail to attempt. I think there is some issue with the tenant. Otherwise it should. Let me try creating it again. Create data change task. This is the connection. I'll fail to load. He doesn't want to upload. There is an internet. How about you drop and maybe drop will be a more efficient. Maybe you'll get it better. Almost. I think almost. Catch it? Oh no, it's still the same. I think it's still with the tenant, maybe. Otherwise it uploads easily. And there is no issue here. No worries. Try to cover this first thing tomorrow in the session that we can cover this part regarding the data change task. Here also you can see the file is getting uploaded. Here you can see this is a data change task. Whoever creates a data change task, it will show over here. The file you can get from any table, these are the various options available. If we filter in the source, these are the methods that people operation type. The source will come as in this, but here file. Basically, we can ingest the types of files based upon the different scenarios. But for this one, we will do first thing in the morning tomorrow is to check for the tables. I will re-explain the table part and I will also explain the data change task. Maybe with some issue, I'm not able to complete this data change task. It is giving error. I believe it should work. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.